Legolas is next. Obviously, we need to be a fantastic archer, dealing damage and taking impossible shots from far away with pinpoint accuracy. We also need to be graceful and athletic, the kind of graceful that means we can surf on a shield down a flight of stairs while firing off arrows. Other than that, we need general elf things like walking on snow. We'll go back to the standard array for Legolas. Dexterity and wisdom are our multi-classing options. Starting off by dumping strength. We can compensate with athletics, we don't really need it to be high. Dexterity is 14, ranged weapons use it, and we're light on our feet. We'll put our 12 in constitution. We aren't as hardy as a dwarf, but we're not too bad. But intelligence can be 10. Legolas is a tiny bit sheltered, since he rarely leaves the forest. Elves have excellent senses, so we'll make wisdom 15, and to finish it off, a 13 in charisma. We don't really need it, but Legolas isn't uncharismatic. Legolas is, of course, an elf, and he's specifically a wood elf, so we get our +2 to dexterity and our +1 to wisdom. We'll get 60 feet of dark vision, proficiency in perception, and an advantage on saves against being charmed. We can't be put to sleep by magic because elves don't sleep, they go into a trance for 4 hours instead. Fun fact, this is something Legolas actually does in the books, going into a trance halfway between dreams and waking to keep up his energy while he, Aragorn, and Gimli are chasing the Uruk-hai. Wood elves are especially quick, with a 35-foot walking speed instead of the more standard 30, and we can try to hide when we're only lightly obscured by natural phenomena. Wood elves also get a couple of free weapon proficiencies, but we'll be getting all weapons from our first class, so that's not especially relevant. Elves in Lord of the Rings, especially wood elves, tend to live in harmony with the nature around them, so we'll make Legolas a Selesnya initiate. That gives us proficiency with persuasion and nature, though we'll switch out nature for history since we can get it for free later on. We're also a welcome guest in most elvish enclaves, and they see us as their kin. We'll start off with a dip into Ranger, giving us 3 skills from the Ranger list, namely Athletics, Stealth, and Animal Handling. We're also a natural explorer, so in addition to a number of benefits to overland travel, we ignore difficult terrain, and we get advantage on initiative rolls. And we have advantage on attacks during your first turn in combat, as long as we're attacking creatures that haven't acted yet. We can pick a favored enemy, and everyone hates orcs, so we'll take humanoids. We get advantage on survival and intelligence checks regarding humanoids, and +2 to our damage against them. Switching gears, we'll jump over to Rogue for proficiency in acrobatics. We learn Thieves' Cant, and our animal handling and perception upgrade to expertises, so we can see that the orcs are taking the hobbits to Isengard with our elf eyes. We can also make a sneak attack once per turn, adding an extra d6 of damage to an attack we make with a finesse or ranged weapon, as long as we had advantage on the attack or an ally within 5 feet of the attack target. Works great with Natural Explorer, giving us free advantage on our first turn. Second level rogues get Cunning Action, letting us leverage our speedy elfness to dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. Then, at third level, our sneak attack damage goes up to 2d6, and we learn another way to get advantage with steady aim. As a bonus action, we can give ourselves advantage on our next attack roll this turn, but we can only do so if we haven't yet moved in the turn, and our speed drops to 0 afterwards. Since Legolas is so at home in the woods, we'll make him a scout, which gives us survival and nature as expertises for free, and as a skirmisher we can move up to half our speed as a reaction to an enemy ending their turn next to us. At 4th level, we'll pick up the Elven Accuracy feat. That'll bump our dexterity to 17, and if we have advantage on an attack roll that uses either our dexterity or one of the mental stats, we can re-roll one of the dice, effectively giving us super advantage. Our sneak attack goes up to 3d6 at 5th level, and will keep going up every odd-numbered rogue level that we take. And with Uncanny Dodge, we can use our reaction to halve the damage of an attack that hits us, as long as we can see the attacker. That's where those elf eyes come in handy. 2 more of our skills upgrade to expertises next. We'll go with acrobatics and athletics. Then, on top of our sneak attack increasing again, we get evasion, to either partially or entirely avoid the brunt of effects that require a dexterity save. But if we really want to be a high-power archer, we need sharpshooter. We can attack at long range with no disadvantage, which is up to 600 feet with a longbow. We can ignore partial cover with our range attacks, and when we attack with a ranged weapon, we can choose to take a -5 on the attack roll to get a +10 with the damage. 9th level scouts get more sneak attack damage and have superior mobility. Our walking speed increases by 10 feet, and the same goes for our swimming and climbing speeds. Of course, we don't have either of those, so we'll pick up athlete at 10th level for a climbing speed. That'll also round off our dexterity to 18, let us make a running jump with only 5 feet of run up rather than 10, and stand from prone with only 5 feet of our movement. We'll finish off our rogue levels by capping our sneak attack at 66 and picking up reliable talent. Whenever we make an ability check that we're proficient with, we can't roll lower than a 10. We'll finish off with a few levels of fighter. Second Wind keeps us on our feet by letting us regain 1d10 plus our fighter level HP as a bonus action once per rest, and the archery fighting style adds 2 to all our ranged weapon attacks. Action Surge gives us a second action on our turn once per rest, and as a champion we crit with our attacks on rolls of 19 or 20. At 4th, we'll pick up the Fighting Initiate feat to go with the second fighting style, namely Close Quarters Shot. That'll add +1 to all our ranged weapon attacks and prevent us from having disadvantage on our ranged attacks for being within 5 feet of an enemy. We can attack twice with the attack action once we get extra attack at level 5, but do keep in mind that we can only add our sneak attack damage once per turn. Fighters get an ability score improvement at 6th level, so we'll cap off our dexterity then. As a 7th level champion, we're a remarkable athlete. Any ability check we make using a physical stat that we aren't proficient in gets half our proficiency as a bonus. We can also add our strength modifier to the distance of our long jumps and feet. Of course, our strength modifier is currently negative, so at our capstone, the 8th level of fighter, we'll use one last ASI to bump it up to 10. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. Turns out shooting accurately from 600 feet away is good, especially since at that distance we likely don't need to move, so we can take steady aim and get super advantage to make it even more likely we hit with our sharpshooter bonus damage, and crit with our improved crit damage, doubling our sneak attack damage. In all seriousness though, the build's features synergize extremely well together to make a powerful ranged attacker. We're also very good outside of combat, with reliable talent on 9 skills, 6 of which are expertises. We do have low strength and intelligence, and though there aren't many saves of those types, the ones that do exist can be very nasty. We've also got nothing in terms of magic damage, so if we run into anything that can ignore mundane arrows, we're just completely out of luck. And unlike pretty much everyone else in the rest of the party, Legolas and Gimli are selfish. They have next to no party support, they're almost entirely focused on damage and making themselves more effective. Legolas is a bit better than Gimli in that respect, since Natural Explorer gives benefits to the whole party while traveling over land, but he's still not that much of a team player. Maybe that's why Frodo doesn't actually know his name.
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
I could do that.